Yes, I am ready. Thank you for asking like 10,000 times. We're getting into game number 2, and I'm not too surprised that V5 just went absolutely bonkers in game number 1. This is Mr. Clement Chu. My name's Jake Asterix Ozzypenko, and although we look like professors today with our matching yellow notebooks, we have a lot of information on them. And that information tells me one thing, that V5 are slowly climbing up the chains, Clement.
Oh, they definitely are. That was a pretty fast-paced game. It was really unexpected, but I think the key plays were that V5 were able to pick up a voice straight before Baron.
Yeah.
They were a composition that said, hey, we don't want to go late, and they were pretty much gifted a 22-minute Baron after that pick.
I think as well, we keep talking about Syndra, and Syndra keeps coming up massively. Part of that pick was Korn on the Syndra, who got MVP in that game number 1, and that was a very whole-rounded performance, if my English could correct itself.
Yeah, 3 kills, 3 assists. You know, participated in a lot of the action, 75%,
yep.
And just always showing up big. I think that's the thing we've been seeing for the Kindra. It's really about your accuracy on Scatter the Weak. Can you hit those key targets? Can you accomplish with the follow-ups? He found the first pick, then he found Yagao to finish the game, and you saw in that blue side choke where he was hitting multiple targets right there. So 100% on the accuracy, MVP goes.
And I think you just invented Korn Syndra with a Kindra. So I'm looking forward to if we see that into game number 2. You're like, how did I do that? It was a happy little accident. V5 into JDG. Some would look at this matchup holistically and say, oh, this is just going to be JDG stomping, even though V5 have some experienced members. It wasn't like this. JDG looked scrambled, and V5 looked very solidified. That last fight topped it off as well, just how it should be with V5 on top.
Yeah, I didn't really think Rise should have been the one trying to peek around the corner. Gets punished super hard by Lei. They actually read the play very, very well in that instance.
Also a testament to Lei as well. I mean, just on the trigger instantly.
Yeah, follows it up into a Scatter the Weak. It's such a beautiful alley-oop going down, and that's pretty much game at this point. It's a 5v4 with the Baron up. V5 corral the remaining members of JD Gaming into the pit. Scatter the Weak lands onto Zoom. He has nowhere to go. And Y4 still going in for more.
Yeah.
That's the fun part I like to see.
That's a good bane as well. At the end as well, we're like, where's Bavoy? Where did he go? He just disappeared off the map. It was like, oh, is this game ending? Is this ending? I think this game's ending.
It was quite... There's just like certain players, like certain marksmen in the LPL where you don't think they're that bad, but there's always this series of misfortunate events that happen to them. And if you really break down the tape, you can see what was the problems. He overpushed the waves a little bit too much. The mid lane, he didn't really need to touch the wave. Went over too close to Raptors, got cat out. And in the last push as well, he was nowhere to be seen when V5 were storming through the front gates. It's like he was still in the bot lane trying to pick off minions.
When Bavoy plays well, you're like, oh wow, this could definitely be a top tier AD carry. Give him time. Give him, you know, a team like JDG to procure on or, you know, like develop. When he plays down, you're going, ooh. Bavoy, stop it. Like, have a break, bring Imp back on, which is what they've done in this game number 2.
Yeah, even if it's just a reset mentality, I think it's a good decision. And Imp does have a bone to pick with Y4.
Oh.
They were both previously on LGD, and Y4 took over the starting position. Imp didn't actually see a lot of playtime and had to leave for WE in the summer of 2018.
That's exactly right, and Imp has kind of been holding those feelings inside. You know, this goes beyond what we know now. Imp has been holding that grudge. You know, you just go to Imp's house and you look at his wall, there's like all these crosses through, like, man, from Season 3 all the way through to Season 9. Taking out all these targets. Now who's left? A lot of people left, but at least we can cross out Y4 if we get a win today.
I'm not sure if it's that extreme, but
you don't know, man.
It could be. It could be even worse. Like you're talking about, he has that straw man in his pocket and has Y4's picture lined up on it.
A voodoo straw man.
Oh, the voodoo's.
Yeah, no.
Voodoo's the word
I like straw man. That's all right. That's all right, man. I don't know Imp's personal life. I'm sure, he can do whatever he wants, right? But Imp is going to give fresh legs to this JDG roster for game number 2. Flawless is still playing. We do not get to see Levi if this only goes the distance of 2, which I think is still fine. Flawless has good moments. And is it better? What do you think about Flawless? Like, that's the biggest sigh I've ever heard out of you.
All right, if Flawless doesn't get the level 2 gank, which he pretty much opts into every single game he plays, then you know it's a bad Flawless game.
It's very readable as well, as Ben 4 showed us.
He's nowhere close to the word consistent.
Ah.
I think that's the problem. If you look at his EXP, he's actually minus 400 EXP at level 10. So either it works out for his lanes, or he falls super far behind, and he's just never seen on the map again.
Whereas if we see Levi, we're like, oh, that's actually a strong early game. Then it's like, how do we transition that? And Levi's like, I'm out. It's mid game. No, it's mid to late game.
The thing about Levi they have is, they actually mentioned this in post-game interviews, is Levi is still learning Chinese.
Yep.
He can't really communicate effectively with the rest of his team, while Flawless has been here for a very, very long time.
Very true.
He can shot call and tell them at least when the objectives are coming up.
We know how good Flawless was by going back and watching 2018 Rogue Warriors. I mean, the team that could have very easily taken the third place over EDG, a team that very easily could have made the run through playoffs. It was Rogue Warriors who were going, wow, new organization started up in December 2017, if I'm not mistaken, and made their run through 2018. Flawless was at the heart of it.
Yeah, Flawless definitely, when he shines, he's gets his lanes ahead. He's soloing out the enemy jungle, but that really hasn't happened that frequently. I understand that you're trying to hype up his highs and how he does his.
You're gonna bring me down on Flawless, Clement.
I'm just saying he's risky. I'm just saying he's risky. I'm saying that if teams study the tape well enough, which I actually think V5 did a very good job of in this game. They definitely had plays where they were like, how do they know about these warding positions? They definitely studied where JD Gaming likes to play around. Think about this. Flawless went top lane at least 3 times in the laning phase against with the Urgot against the Jace. How many kills did he find?
Not much.
0. He didn't find any kills. He didn't find any kills right there. They were very apparent. He got spotted out twice by the Poros one time. He even had to burn his own flash to get out of the situation. So it's very clear cut that V5 understand how JD Gaming play. Their jungle proximity is crystal clear. They like going topside. They like snowballing Zoom. And if you protect Jinu and snowball that matchup, you kind of go away with the early game.
Which was the hyped matchup. So even though it's more of a compliment to Dog8, I think, as well, the coaching staff behind V5 on top of that. But it's also a compliment to V5 themselves and how they know this top lane was going to be the matchup. I mean, Zoom played Urgot, it was quiet. Jinu played a carry Jace, it was not quiet. He was annoying in the side lanes, he joined fights, and he was just part of that disturbance that JDG had to deal with.
I also like the rune selections from him right there. He said, you know what, our jungler's going to be around top lane all the time. Just bring Kleptomancy. You'll be fine. You don't need the extra points of
Domination
damage.
second as well was like Taste of Blood. I think it wasn't Ravenous Hunter, but it was something else. You like.
It's a very unique build to come out from a Jace. We don't typically see that. We see much more about it being damage oriented and trying to burst down the Urgot early before he can get into that mid game Juggernaut phase. But they synced up the Keystone builds with how they wanted their jungler to play, which is just make sure that Jinu just doesn't die when he's kind of in the weak side of his development.
I would also say that Jinu is still going to be the focus here, and maybe more talk about that development as we go on and see how the top lane develops in this series alone. You're getting a good look at JDG entering back into the arena, and the Dumpling Brothers, it wasn't their story that game. Scaling picks that weren't so influential. And as Zoom takes his seat, we have to say, all right, what's going to happen this game? Are you going to take that top lane matchup and maybe influence the 2v2 a little bit more than game 1?
It's really about blind picking for Zoom at this point. We just got word that V5 has selected to go on the red side. So once again, they're going to hold potentially even up to a double counter pick against JD Gaming like they did in game 1.
It was a pretty simple one at that. You can see Imp is stepping in. A lot of hype around this man at the start of the split, but unfortunately he has failed to deliver. It has been a pretty even shuffle between Bavoy and Imp. It's not like Flawless, where Flawless has been sitting in the mainstay about 90% of the time. And that was due to the language issue Clement mentioned before. So healthy transitions between these AD carries. But again, it's not really about them. So Imp is going to be more of a, all right, I'm on the team, boys. Let's add a little bit of spice. Still about the Dumpling Brothers and what they can achieve against V5.
I wouldn't sell Imp so short. He has big shoes to fill.
I would.
Oh, really?
Clement,
that's interesting.
After the start of the split, I would. And you know what? Fight me. Like, Imp has not been... You want to compare Samsung White Imp to JDG Imp. Now, I know that's like 6 years, Clement.
That's not comparable.
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. Imp is like, he has moved himself down, and it has been about building himself back.
Yes. Like, we've seen the videos from LGD every single year. It's usually Imp in this big mansion. He's decked out. He's sitting next to a pool, and it's like, this year, LGD's going to make it.
This is my year.
But
Imp, move away from the pool and get on the computer. Like, what are you doing? This is not a beach holiday.
No, I'm just thinking about LGD and all the fun things that they've done in the past. You know, they actually had this this video where they put out and it was about a fictional LGD team that defeated Raker and won the world championship.
Defeated Raker, yeah.
Yes, defeated Raker.
Yeah,
it was pretty on the nose. Like it was not subtle, but it was a fun movie from LGD. And they never really brought it back. That's actually a thing. You can find it on YouTube.
How long?
It's like an hour-long movie.
An hour? What?
Yes. It's like a recruitment video. It was poorly timed since it came out in 2016.
I think we have to get around it. Is it okay to post it on social media? Like, can we get around that or not?
I'm not even sure. You can still find it, but
Okay.
you can go back and check.
I'm asking if it's like it's okay. It's like G-rated.
Oh, it's for everyone. It's for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, that didn't answer my question. For everyone, does it mean G-rated? You know, absolutely everyone. Comment. I'll ask you that question a little bit later. I'm going to ask that link a little bit later as well. Let's go into game number 2, though. V5, their record could be the same as JDG's current. And JDG do not want to give over a win. Game 3, Kings. Well, maybe that'll be answered after this, but let's get right back into it. JDG making some adaptations into their first ban phase, and that adaptation, which is the proper English use of that word, is going to be the Jace, and even the Tahm Kench taken away from late.
I like the Jace being taken away. It's been a nuisance for JD Gaming to deal with. It just shuts down so many early game matchups and allows V5 to play super aggressive in the early game. So I like that takeaway. JD Gaming, they really need a strong lane they can play through. I think that's the #1 priority they're going to be looking for in this drafting phase. And Zoe is open. Do they actually take it here?
It has been first pick priority in very recent series. Wouldn't be surprised if your gal does lock that in, and he does. Stop it. Corn, stop it.
Please.
You are not the new duck of the LPL. Thank you very much. It's just going to be the Lucian instead. Let's see what that's rounded with, because Ben4 has been playing a lot of Gragas. You would expect that to be late with the way the meta's been shifted in the past year, but the Gragas is more than likely going to Ben4.
That's still the most played for Ben4. Is a very strong ganking tool in his hands.
Yeah.
But the question is, what's going to go up against the Zoe pick? This is the best pick from Yagao, and he's shown he's willing to play it against the Assassins of LeBlanc. He showed that against Kuro, and he still won the matchup very handedly.
If you want to run something like a Cinder into it, why not? It's very predictable. Korn played that in game 1, and it is open in game number 2. Bottom lane secured here for JDG with another game from Lumao on the Gallia.
So a very similar game plan coming out from JD Gaming. The same pick for Bavoy and Imp in the meantime. It's really about how the mid lane... what?
All right, you know what can counter Zoe? A good Yasuo. And when I say counter, I use that very lightly because it's going to be a fun skill matchup.
Oh boy, this is legit. I think this is the first Yasuo we've seen from the mid lane popping up.
Have we? We've definitely seen a Yasuo.
We've seen another Yasuo in the
mid. Look, it says pick rate, 5 out of 128.
Okay. My bad. I'm not sure it's in the mid-low. I know there's been Chelly's picked a couple times in the bot lane.
Right, Clever, I will not laugh
But I'm not
anymore.
sure about the actual mid-lane pick rate.
That's a very good point. It is rare. That's something we can agree on. It is very rare. And I don't care about the win rate. It's a Yasuo. They're always going to have lower than 50% win rate. That's just how Yasuo rolls.
I remember now. Doinby actually selected it for a Wombo combo composition.
He did.
Yeah, Doinby's the one to play those no mana AD champions and toward the mid lane. That's pretty much his forte.
That's very well said, actually. Yasuo, Renekton, Kled, Aatrox.
He's persistent.
Wow.
He's actually a top laner.
I think you've just honed in. Yeah, he's a top laner in a mid lane's body. That's what Niberia said yesterday.
But Korn's a great assassin player himself. If you go back to 2018, his signature pick was actually the Talon. That was his best champion, and he's back at it again with the Wombo combo coming in from Ben4's best champion as well, the Gragas.
Yeah, a lot of knockups there, just starting with the Gragas, as you just mentioned. A possibility to aim that with something like the Alistar, which, nope, has been banned away by JDG to finish up. Now for V5, what else has knockup central? Well, a flay, a death sentence threshold added
like
into the
this.
mix, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I like this. This is a spicy Wombo coming in from V5. It's so much burst potential, maximum catch, trying to go all in. The only question is what they need for a top lane, and at this point, they've had so many options.
Riven has knockups.
You know, I was going to go the entirely other route. I was like, hey, just get a Scion so he can eat.
Oh, that works as well, Clever. They both have knockups. I think we're on the same level.
I think that's, that's a safer option. You're getting too hyped in the matchup. You're going like,
go all in. Hang on. Am I? Because this looks like a steal away from JDG rather than a priority for them. The Jarvan is locked in and could be going to Flawless at this point, considering we saw an even Skarner ban and the Elise in it again taken away from him.
And just making sure that Flawless is off of his comfort champs. Jarvan is one that he actually did relatively well with, but it's not the easiest champion to combo up with Zoe.
Oh, I dig this. Let's see. Does it get locked in? Oh, from beyond the grave. This is a very fancy team composition, to put it lightly.
It is definitely fancy, and it would be fancier if the Riven's actually locked in.
Let's put this into a skill matchup. What does it look like? Riven versus Yorick. Maybe not get too hyped, Clement.
I actually favor the Riven. I think it's a fine matchup because you have the...
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Clement. You were saying. What about Riven?
Against Yorick, you just want your crowd control abilities to... not crowd control. You want your, first of all-in potential that you can actually just out-damage him. And the second most important thing is you want AoE so you can take away the goals.
Yeah.
And Jax actually does both of that. Counter-Strike, if you can time it well, Yorick can't really... hit you with the Morning Mist and just all in on you very easily, because your goals will actually power up the counter-strike. You will actually deal more damage to him, and you should win out in the split push.
And we can also look past the split push and past the early game into the mid game, where if Jinu is able to land a multi-man counter-strike, they can couple it in with the knock-up central from Ben, 4, and Lei. So there is a possibility to synergize this Wombo, but if we wanted a carry matchup from JDG and V5, we certainly got it. Game 1 was stale in the top lane. It was like going to the bakers, and after 7 days, they've given you this bread that they said is fresh. And you look at it, you open it, and you say, this is old, moldy, stale bread. What we got is we went back to that bakery. We complained. We then said, we want the best bread you have, otherwise we are going to fight this. The bakery complied. They said, okay, please don't sue us. Here is the fresh bread. And we've finally gotten it. We've opened it up, and the smell, it's intoxicating.
I can't believe he's called Klepto Jace a piece of stale bread, but you're right. Yorick versus Jax is a lot spicier.
It's not fun. But Jax and Yorick, Clement, you're exactly right.
We've actually seen this matchup happen in the North American LCS. The Jax did win out the matchup quite heavily. I believe it was Impact on the Yorick. Couldn't really stop TSM from closing out on the game. Split push happening the entire way. So again, it's Zoom being countermatched in the top side.
It makes it so intoxicating again to finally see the carry, though. Zoom taking on Jinu, and V5 on the verge of being 4-2 in the LPL. Exactly what they want. We're in Beijing for Game 2. Let's get to it. Oh, never mind. It's already begun.
Flash down already from Zoom. I can't believe top laners are still standing in that brush. That's a death brush for top laners.
It is. And as JD let their cries all the way out in Beijing, we begin. This feels like it's the end of the world. No flash on Zoom. Okay. How does he recover from this one? It's going to be a conqueror on the Jax as well. Of course it is. It's 9.2, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, actually, 9.4 is ridiculous too. What am I saying?
You just sound excited.
I
like it when you're excited.
Oh, thank you, Clement. Zoe on Yagao. So I know we've had a heavy presence of mind to talk about Jinu versus Zoom, which we will return to, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk a little bit more about Yagao and Korn, because this is just exciting, Clement.
Yeah, it's a matchup where you do expect Yasuo to be slightly favored. He can cancel out the Sleepy Trouble bubble with the Wind Wall quite easily.
Yeah.
And he also has the cleanse for it as well. So it's going to be quite difficult for Yagao to snowball. He's going to have to find those picks in other lanes.
He might get something here if he doesn't move, however, because Lei is here. Blue buff is going to reset with the patience and goes back. Death Senses action already. Lumao, a double man body bomb. Flawless ignited. He's going to go down for the first blood, but the heal away. Imp saves the day. Now with the Sleepy Trouble level, Ben4 has the flash over the wall. Imp actually doesn't get the last shot. It is Flawless who gets knocked into Korn. There's the 1-for-1 trade, but Korn has come in to his death. Imp needs one more auto and finds it. JDG are now caught out with their AD carry. Even Jinu teleports down. 4 kills, 2 minutes into the game. The LPL, baby.
Glory to the LPL. That's what I want. Blood for the Blood Gods. 4 kills before 3 minutes going down. Let's take stock of where that distribution actually went to. Imp with 1 kill and 1 assist. It was a first blood, so pretty good on his part. But on the other hand, V5 going it, having it on their major carries. I have to say, V5 comes out ahead.
All right, Clement, I couldn't make heads or tails of what the heck happened here, so you're going to have to tell me.
So Flawless actually goes in for the level 2. Is spotted out very early on.
Hang on, we can't look at the replay. Look at the bottom left of your screen. It's happening again. Yagao just found Ben4. I'll calm down for you, Clement.
And that's a double buff as well going over to Yagao, so he might not have that much trouble in the matchup. Really good last auto attack coming in from Imp to clear out on the kill. We're going back in time just to get rid of all the action on the plates.
Yeah, look, that was very well done, Clement. You hit the present tense, you hit the past tense, and now we're in the future of 3 minutes where there's 5 kills and small gold lead to JDG. I'll help you take presence of the situation as well. This is a kill on all the carry members there of JDG, apart from the top lane.
All right, this is good on Jinu. He doesn't jump in prematurely. And we do see Zoe having control of the mid lane as well, so even Flawless without EQ is not a target you want to go in on.
Yep, Flawless able to get the Scuttle Crab both bottom and top after all that chaos is done. So a small lead for Flawless in the jungle to kick things off. He'll go back to his own blue after Ben4 had to reset, is a level behind, and finally picks up his own buff.
I think the most important thing here is that Ben4 should be so far behind in the level curve that the wombo combo between Yasuo and Explosive Cask is not really going to happen.
Yeah.
What's most likely is JD Gaming Flawless should be able to get Cataclysm down on Korn before the combo comes in for V5.
True, but which lane is he going to go to? Because right now it doesn't matter. Lei is a 3v2 here. They found Lumao, and Imp can't get back in. Actually body slammed onto Imp. Lei is still low, though. If he walks in, will he die? Getting dove under is Imp, and smacked down by Ben4. Even though he's behind the CS in the jungle, Clement, at least he got the kill.
That was perfect target selection from Ben4. Every ounce of damage going onto the right member and taking both down in the meantime. He actually used his Q on the back end, picked up Lumao, and then went forward to stun up Imp at the same time. I can't even look at two things.
It's very well played. Well, you can't because there's too much happening at once. Which replay is this? Oh, it's this one.
Yeah, it's like the third replay we have before the 6-minute mark. Very well played by Lei. Gets a flay and actually stops Lumao. And just watch this. You know, he gets the slowdown onto just the W onto the Galio. Ease forward, hits Imp. Perfect damage allocation across the board, and he picks up both kills.
He smacks him down, so 1 kill over to Ben4. It was important as well because Y4 actually picks up a kill in that lane, which the Lucian and Thresh are always going to go well in. A little side note if you missed it there as well, Lei somehow matrixed that, or probably wanted is more relevant reference to Lumao. I don't know how that hook landed. We're going to see if he can land another one, but he's just been caught out. So Control Ball's there on the side, doesn't hit Lei, walking away. That means that he would have died in that situation. So very ambitious from the support of Victory Fight.
Super well played from Lei. He actually dodged out on both crowd control abilities. Any single one landing, I felt like he was a dead man at that point.
Well, he might be in a second. There's a scrying orb. Hasn't spotted out Lumao, but very safe from Lei not to go through this brush.
Let's see if he actually slinks towards the right side of the... Not far enough.
They want to get him through the turret. He goes right through the center as well. He is dead here, Clement, and Imp picks it up. Zoom, hello!
And they just want more. They know that Jinu can't follow. No teleport on him at this point.
Maiden of the Mist is going to grab aggro onto this turret as well until Y4 gets deleted. Imp has 3 kills at 6 minutes in the game. Let's scratch those 2 deaths because JDG have a lead.
Lei was careful, but not careful enough. He needed to go all the way to the other side of the lane. Instead, Flawless finds him with just the EQ combo and a sweet two-piece going over to Galio.
People were like, oh, why should we watch JDG in V5? You know, game 1 was pretty stock standard. Well, you know what? Open your eyes, here we are. Game 2 has an Infernal too. If there's going to be fighting, or more fighting rather, it's going to be around that bottom side again.
I know as a play-by-play, you have that stat of most kills happening in a game so far.
Yeah,
Can you read that stat for me? Oh, I think it's 51,
51
right?
in a game.
51 kills.
Now, it's FPX and Suning that have that record at the moment, and of course, it's FPX involved.
You know what? We're on schedule, though.
We are. We're building up to it. More than a kill a minute. You want 2 kills a minute to hit that one. Jinu favors his chances actually going on to Zoom in the top lane, but with the Maiden, trades are going to be better for Zoom if Counter-Strike does not land. So very dangerous from Jinu. He has to be careful, considering both these top laners don't have teleport and they're going to be staying in lane.
That's a smart trade from Zoom. He knows he has the extra item buy. Sheen already completed.
Yeah. I
want to see how he actually plays this lane out. It isn't a situation where Yorick gets better as time goes on. He does want to punish it as hard as possible. Make sure Jax is just never that big split-pushing threat.
Yeah. It's not going to be about the top lane just yet, however. Even though Zoom does have Maiden out and can roam down, Flawless is cleared of ward and moved to the mid lane, but spotted out by Ghost Poro. Korn knows to back away. And everything's come to a bit of a standstill. I'm glad. I'm not sure my voice could have held out the way we were going.
The EXP bars for both junglers is what we really need to look at. We've seen a lot of Gragas combos onto the Zoe.
True.
Not something that you can play out of very easily. Very telegraphed escapes coming in from Yagao.
Not something he has to worry about just yet here, Clement. Ben4 is level 5.
Okay.
8 minutes into the game, the blue buff is still widely contested. Flaws can just go mid instead while he's doing it. It's really rough here for Ben4.
Yeah, this is a snowball point we were talking about. Cataclysm has the ult against someone
Ignite
who doesn't.
down, Trouble Bubble doesn't land though. Dragon Flag does force a flash out of Korn. There is a Cataclysm available, but he chooses not to use it.
Yeah, sees the Predator popped onto Yagao already.
It doesn't go the right way, but it does sort out the final breath, the last breath rather. And Flawless gets locked on down, but goes back in. The Dragon Flag doesn't land. Ben4, the damage is there with the flash forward as well. Korn doesn't have the Whirlwind, and that 2v2 works out for JDG.
Oh, Yagao misses a lot of paddle stars and the Sleepy Troll Bubble, but still able to close in on the kill.
Zoe.
Yeah. So a little bit ambitious from Ben4 at that point. It looked like they were able to clean Flawless out, but they were missing an Ignite in terms of the damage, and they're going to pay quite heavily for it. Very good rotation from Zoom. Even if he loses that topside tower, it's still a great trade.
Yeah, a lot of tower plating going to go over, and Yagao just drops down the Sleep Trouble Bubble again. Doesn't land. Wind Wall's there. Very hard for Yagao right now. So Lei's come to support mid.
We do want to see that play happening again.
He has flash. Yagao's sticking around with flash. Hang on a minute. Whoa! No item, by the way.
Just so much pressure in that lane.
He's still there.
This is why you don't give Yagao to, you don't give Zoe to Yagao.
Yeah. It's very obnoxious to deal with. At least there's a good news story with Jinu pushing in the top side of the map.
Traditionally, the biggest counter to Zoe we've seen has been the Malzahar, but that has been pretty much taken out of the meta.
I think that's even worse than Zoe, let's be honest. What do you prefer, Clement? Zoe or Malzahar?
Oh, it depends if I'm the one playing it or I'm on the receiving end.
Yeah, that's,
yeah.
I mean,
if you're on the receiving end, then you think Malzahar is better. Malzahar seems like a fair champion. You know, he's easy to play, but I think Zoe's just crazy.
Malzahar at his peak is a bit more annoying, but a lot of people would agree that it is the Zoe who's now just taking the fight. Imp steals that with a W again.
That's
the amount of kills
time
Imp has gotten with the Void Seeker is just ridiculous.
Served up on a silver platter. How is Imp getting those kills over and over again?
He's just timing it so well. He's 4-2-1. He started out as 0-2.
We didn't even see him on the screen. He was just like, yeah. Casual kill.
Died in the early fight. Picked up one of his own, actually, so it would have been 1 and 2. JDG seem to have the tempo advantage this game, all things considered, and they'll pick up the first Infernal. Let's see if we get another one. Do we? Is it? Is it double Infernal? I know Ben4's doing Rift Herald, but hang on. Let's go.
Are you sure?
I am sure he's doing it. Are we sure it's a double Infernal? I guess we'll find out.
Okay. saying it would be very bad for V5 if it actually is. They've lost control of mid completely.
Yeah.
Korn's at the point where he just doesn't have enough damage.
Close enough. Not really, but close enough. All right, Rift Herald for Ben 4 though, so that's the trade-off of Infernal, and watch how Korn just got smothered again.
There's nothing much he can do. Yagao just walks up, exhaust. That was an exhaust he actually picked up from the ground as well. Red buff tick into Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
It's very rare that you get to hear the chicken ultimate from a Galio. Like, it's always so loud on Summoner's Rift that you never get to hear the little things.
That's just unlucky from Korn. There's nothing he could do. Like, you don't expect someone to walk up to you with an exhaust in hand.
Yeah. Well, that is Zoe again. That Trouble Bubble just goes shy of the win wall, which means it'll zone Korn, who has ultimate now. Barrier popped by Yagao. And Rift Herald dropped on top lane, so V5 want to match this tempo with turret plating still available.
Yeah, but JD Gaming, they're going to go for the mid lane instead. So this should be a straight tower trade. First brick, however, does go over to V5.
That's exactly right. Small gold advantage still for JDG, but it's going to make sure V5 and even it out quite nicely. And 4 is walking towards the mid lane, lays here. Their sentence lands. This is onto walls. He gets knocked back. Culling's there too. Last breath from Yasuo, but Korn already bursted out. Explosive cast. As JDG is separated in this fight. Lumao goes golden just to die in the end. A 2 for 0 there. Great trade for V5.
Yeah, great ultimate coming in from Ben 4, actually knocking 2 members back into the tower range, and that's the wombo combo we were talking about. Unfortunately, kill distribution doesn't really favor the Yasuo. You really want to get him going ahead a little bit earlier, but they actually defend the tower.
Yeah, he'll lose it in the end. Ben 4's coming back to the mid lane. Yagao's going to be in a lot of trouble here. Battlestar doesn't land either. But Ben 4 can't chase it up. And you were talking about how Yasuo was struggling in that mid lane. Well, he's 30 CS behind. That's rough.
That's the lowest I've seen a tower ever go down to. Imp actually does spot layout, but not in time for it to make a difference. Great play coming in. And the explosive cast, just making sure Lumal and nowhere to go.
And that's annoying if you're JDG. When you're in a lead like this where you play your tempo game and you continuously make these dives because you know you can, and V5 outplay them, it is very frustrating. V5, they're a team that can get onto your nerves. You look at the players and you're like, how is this middle of the pack team? And that's right, I said middle of the pack, Raz, I know you're listening. How are they performing so well? And again, when you have veterans, it's quite easy to put people together and make them gel quickly.
That's one of the disputes I had with Raz. Raz didn't think this was a playoff team. I was like, have you looked at their roster? All the members on this team are veterans. All of them are, I would say, above the cut.
Yep.
And if you let them run away with just a straight up laning phase game like they've done in the game 1, it's very easy to see how they're going to compete. The raw potential is there, and they haven't even gelled to their final form.
That's
I
true.
think that's a scary thing about V5.
The difference in this game especially is JDG, they're kind of veterans of their own. Veterans of the team, veterans of the scene, in that Zoom and Yagao we know quite well. And JDG had their own little brand. Right now, JDG, they were able to open up the mid lane turret so those veterans continue to push forward, but it's really a different type of veterans against a different type of veterans themselves. So
Good
JDG.
mind game there from Lay.
Yeah,
Did
very
you see
true.
that? He just walked straight into the Sleepy Trouble bubble and said, hey, JD Gaming, you want to stay for a while?
Bit of a bait. Surprised at this point that V5 are willing to take those fights, even being down a little bit in gold. But I guess we haven't really had time to take stock of this game at all. And now that we do, there are first items coming up on the board. Trinity Force for our top laners. And first items for the mid laners. Remember, 9.2, so that is not Lifeline on the Phantom Dancer. It is the usual, hey, in a 1v1, I'm going to absolutely kick booty. And that's the way maybe it should be. So first items coming in across the board. 80 carries weren't mentioned there, but they've got theirs as well.
A little bit more crit on the item, so it does work with Yasuo better in this patch as well. They are setting up for the Mountain Drake. V5, they are better in terms of just the 5v5 wombo combo. Nothing really beats explosive cask into last breath on multiple members. But JD Gaming, they do have the, I would say they have the better catch potential. They have the Dark Procession to zone this off as well.
There we They're going to have to find out if they can get that catch onto someone like Lei. He gets into the cage, and Dragon has stopped for now. Remember, Redemption onto Yagao. Force out of the pit. Made bursted down to that Redemption to zone. Yagao does find a sleepy trouble bubble. That's on delay. He flashes over the wall. And Dragon is secured there by V5. The last breath available, but not willing to take it. Objective for absolutely nothing. V5 benefit greatly.
Sweet dodge out from V5. 2 sleepy trouble bubbles not landing on any of the intended targets. And they're able to walk away, even though JD Gaming potentially had the better concave.
Ooh, Jinu. Bitten off more than he could chew, you could say there. JDG actually had the inner track to mid lane after V5 backed. Get a bit of damage down.
I don't think they want to push it. Last breath is still online.
Zoom might be caught out here. There's a counter-strike. Trouble bubble lands as well as the paddle star locked on down. Imp has the target with the killer instinct. Is it available? Into the back. Imp has just free-fired now on a couple of members. He's found one for the 80 carry battle continues by Jinu. Takes out Flawless. V5 collapsing in nicely. And JDG have to burn all their summoners to get out. Yagao comes back in, but counter-strike forces Imp over the wall. Yasuo versus Kai'Sa. And Yasuo, of course, wins. JDG running away because at this point, they're just so darn low. Y4 chases over, gets the double shot, and the only member left alive is Yagao, who does ignite Jinu, but the last breath was saved. Jinu will survive too.
That was a merry-go-round of death where I don't think Flawless should have gone into the brush to chase after a support kill right there. You can see the mobility of Korn just running around the brushes and finding his targets onto the back line of JD Gaming made such a massive difference. 1v1, Yasuo versus Kai'Sa, such a favorable trade here. Let's watch it again. This is a situation where V5 are coming out with an extra item buy. They want to chase down on JD Gaming. JD Gaming, they find a pick, but I don't really want them to go in at this point. Yagao's low on mana. Flawless doesn't find the initial pick. And look at the position that Imp finds himself in. He's behind enemy lines right now. He needs to walk out of the situation. And it's actually quite easy for Korn to find a second pickup. Jinu goes in. I don't know how that man stayed alive throughout the entire fight. And Imp tries to follow up, but he gets baited by the greed.
Imp is feeling good, but maybe too good at these fights. Another note is that Jinu, as you said, just didn't die and is now 4 for 0. Essence Reaver picked up second on the Jax. And that's pretty crazy. Top laner versus top laner at the moment, I'm favoring Jinu.
Definitely, me too.
Definitely favoring Jinu, yeah.
He's gonna be at the phase where he can start his split pushing as well. JD Gaming are letting this game slip away from them.
At least they're still trying to find picks onto Korn. You look at what the rest of V5 are achieving as Korn does find the last breath almost onto Zoom. The Yasuo looking to outplay, but he can't find it. Bottom lane turret is going to drop here. Mid lane turret as well. That's what the pick is going to cost them. Trade-offs here for JDG just not worth it.
Definitely not worth it. This is going to be 2 towers for 1. They do get the extra kill, but look at how much damage that Korn was able to deal with the rest of the players. It's going to force a straight back, a straight recall at this point. And the item build from Jinu is also very frightening. This is a build that allows him to catch up to backline targets so easily. He's going to have that leap strike up constantly.
Yeah.
It has auto attacks, so Essence Flare is going to be procced very frequently. He can go in on you the entire way, and it's very hard for you to trade back damage with the counter strike up as well.
Remember, it's just no mana lost, really, for a Jax. He presses W, gives him more mana than it takes away. That's almost a 4k gold lead for that top lane matchup, and it goes in favor of Jinu, of course.
Jinu remembers this. Zoom might be the kryptonite to the Shy, but Jinu is his own kryptonite.
I'm thinking this kryptonite might be too much here for Zoom. Ben does get chunked down, but it's all really JDG can do at the moment. Baron sitting up there and waiting for someone to give it attention. Infernal will be doing the same. JDG got the first one, which seemed to be a nightmare in the early game for V5, but it's definitely not turned into a blessing, but it hasn't been noted by V5's composition just yet.
This is JD Gaming's, I think this is a problem with JD Gaming's game plan. A lot of times they do favor blue sides themselves, but against counterpick specialists like V5, you really are feeling the lack of presence from Zoom. Yep. It doesn't feel like he's been on his game at all, and Yorick with no split pushing potential, what does he really do for you in a team fight? That's the big question that has to be asked.
When Jinu gets the counterpick, that's the next issue. Because you say, is the top lane going to be fun for Zoom? We know what the answer is, Clement.
No.
It was not. And now we're stuck with a Yorick here with 1.5 items, while Jinu has 2.5 himself. Derek's Gage going to come soon for the Jax. He's the same level, but definitely not the same power level. In fact, he's so much further ahead. Fight looks good here if JDG can get a pick, but V5 could just turn it right back.
V5 also taking the extra Infernal in the meantime. JD Gaming are going to know about this, and however they react, doesn't look like they're going to be able to find anything.
Infernal does go over to V5 in the meantime. JDG clearing out vision towards the Baron. Next one's going to be Infernal. Just as good for each team at this point. Hello, Lay. He's walking blindly in. Maybe he knew they were there. Death Sentence does nothing. Explosive cast. They might turn this around. Find Zoom. Great pick off there for V5. The hero's entrance comes in from Luamel. But that's an ulti down 4 versus 4.
Both sides are stepping on eggshells at this point. Korn still has the last breath, but Yagao has a perfect shooting range lined up here in the mid lane.
This is interesting. On wrong sides of the rift. JDG clearing out the wave. It's a stalemate. Culling's going to come out as well from Y4 with a blue buff. He should have that up pretty soon. JDG have Baron vision to themselves.
And they're actually just going to straight start it.
Imp does this so quickly as well. V5, no Clement. Trouble bubble onto Ben 4. He has to body slam away. Korn, Windwall over the side. And Yagao, this is what the Zoe pick was for. 5 and 1 now, forcing 2 teleports out. One from Jinu, one from Zoom. Maiden comes down. 30 seconds until that Kragus comes up. It's not going to be enough. It's secured. Baron there for JDG. Lumel is still alive. The Zoe into the middle of it. Jinu tries to jump in. Trouble bubble lands again. Korn in with the final breath. What is it going to be the final hour? Korn all the way back in. And immediately, Imp has been caught out, but finds almost onto Y4. A double kill for the 80 carry of JDG. But V5 strike back. 2 Baron buffs remaining.
The backline of JD Gaming coming up trumps in that fight. Just Korn soaking up so much attention in the front. He got the double kill before Imp was finally able to find him with the last auto attack. But that was enough for Y4 to dish out all of his damage. He was basically untouched throughout that entire fight. And JD Gaming taking stock. I believe they only have 1 Baron buff in their name, and that's going to go to Zoom.
It was incredible. I believe they have 2 with Luamel into the mix as well. Or no, rather, Yagao. Question me on that, Clement, anyway, but for Korn, whether it is the final breath or the last breath, final out. We got too many veins in the league. Korn's ultis have actually been key here.
Yeah.
Last breath, think about the damage that Y4 can dish out. And Jinu wasn't a factor in that fight as he got picked out so darn early.
No, they did lose Jinu early on, but Last Breath was able to go on to Yagao, so they were able to pick up that kill. It's a very, very tight situation. Let's watch that again. It should have gone more over to JD Gaming. This is where the pick happens. Y4's like, no, I'm not going to block this for you. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to die. And then the double TP.
Jinu has to pop out immediately. I want to see where the Dark Procession actually goes, because this should be a situation where Zoom, he does drop it a little bit late. So Jinu is actually able to force him out of the fight early on. No crowd control coming in from the Galio.
And of course, we can't look at that replay because we're fighting again. Zoom caught out again. Explosive cast Ben 4 uses stasis, and Yagao sitting on the side. This is key. Watch the Zoe as Flawless front line. Jinu into the back line. The Jack's still alive as Flawless is doing his damage with the Cataclysm. There's a 1-for-1 trade. This is top laner for jungle, and at the moment, that's the better trade for JDG.
Yeah, JD Gaming come up trumps right there. 2 counter strikes not able to keep Jinu alive.
Burst down Korn, procs the Sterix Gauge. That is a big cooldown as well. V5 are retreating, and with 2 Baron buffs, this is going to push into the inhibitor.
Definitely going to get the first inhibitor of the game. Great play by Imp there. He uses his killer instinct to reposition himself out of harm's way. V5 can't actually finish off the pincer. He gets away with just a sliver of health towards the left side of the mid lane, walking himself out of danger. Crucial play from Imp, and you can just see the tenacity in his team fighting is still there.
I'd ask you, Clement, who do you prefer to be alive after that fight? Zoom or Flawless? And I'd say Zoom. If the Yorick's alive, yeah. If you're V5, who would you rather, Ben 4 or Jinu?
Jinu?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
like, Flawless is a beefcake at this point. He's even going Cinderhulk.
That's right. So, a trade-off there working for JDG. Even gold lead, 26 minutes into the game. The Baron buff opened up the middle inhibitor. And with that, Infernal's coming up in 40 seconds now. If we can't manage the wave if you're V5, then there's going to be serious issues contesting this Infernal.
And V5, they really haven't gotten their full combo potential down this game. We haven't really seen a situation where Ben 4 gets multiple targets, last breath, and they just wipe a carry. That's the dream scenario. They've done it so many times with the pincer moves, but haven't really been able to find JD Gaming carries at this point. The key issue for me is how do they hide Ben 4? Ben 4 is the key piece in this team fight wombo combo. How do they get him into the back line and blow that nuke off of explosive cask?
Yeah, it's either him or it's Jinnu, who's still on the mid lane, looking for that repositioning. And full force the body slam away from the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and JDG, the Dragon is up. They want this badly.
This is going to be the second Infernal Drake for either team, but V5 are actually split up at this point.
Getting low, Jinnu gets all the way in, walks over the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, Dragon resets a tiny bit, there's the Death Sentence onto Lumal, Shield of Duran is onto Ben 4, the jungler caught out who goes into stasis again with the Zhonya's, but the Maiden's all the way in, Yagao burns down Ben 4, JDG have the numbers advantage, but the last breath onto 2, Korn finds a great ulti, but it might be too late, Jinnu trying to jump into the backline, but Imp is free-firing once again, stasis for him too, clean up with the Maiden, and JDG, the team fighting prowess, continues on.
This is going to be a straight game loss for V5. The minion wave is already underneath their Nexus towers. Dubs all around from JD Gaming. Key pick right there. Ben 4 actually did not use his ultimate throughout that entire fight. He went in on the Galio of all people, got CC'd up, was so low he had to stasis, and at the end of the day, no wombo combo for Korn, no 2-0 series for V5.
Clean finish there for JDG in regards to the final fight. All 4 members surviving, equaling the series, and we've got ourselves a game number 3. But man, that was the limits.
That was so exciting. I think that was the game where we spent the most percentage of time in replays.
Yeah.
It was just replay after replay after replay. Yasuo, unfortunately, mid Yasuo especially, still not coming up big. Doinby tried it, Watin tried it, and now Korn has tried his hand at it.
Having said that though, there were some really good combinations. There were some really big ultimates that impacted JDG's ability to team fight them.
Yeah, definitely was the case. I felt like Jinnu had a massive game. However, he never really closed off on one of those targets. He wasn't the most he got out of the Essence Reaver was really a trade in these fights, or maybe forcing a Zhonya's, but not just the consecutive counter strikes that we would expect from a Jax that was this far ahead.
Yeah, Yagao started letting the trouble bubbles on him as well, and that was like, oh, Jinnu is taking a lot of damage here and just couldn't get through those fights. But we got the top lane matchup, we got the early game we wanted, we got the game we wanted out of these two teams.
It definitely is the case. I would say for V5, only thing you need to change is, I don't care about the Olaf. Like, it's just a tank champion. I feel like Jarvan's probably even better for Flawless. Drop the Olaf. Make sure the Zoe just doesn't get out the table.
Get him to Lee Sin if that gets through as well.
I don't care about the Lee Sin. The way Flawless is playing with the level 2 invades, which all of them were spotted out by V5. I actually think they have Flawless underneath their thumb very well. They've studied extensively. They know how he's going to play. Just make sure you don't give Yagao Zoe. That's all I want.
Or you could make sure that Zoe never gets off the ground, which, you know, Yagao was in the thick of it. Level 2 fight.
I think it's so hard to do, though. That's just, like, we've seen Yagao Zoe gameplay for how many games? It's just the entire split has been video footage of him outplaying scenarios, outplaying supposedly counter picks in the Yasuo, in the LeBlanc. He just doesn't care at this point. He's so good on the champion. He's willing to play through anything, and just giving it to him puts him in the zone.
Chinese Zoe at 30 games is like 85% win rate now. You heard it here first. We're going to have a short break when we return. Game 3 to see if that Zoe flies through again.